Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. And today we are going to talk about the Bousman trilogy within the Saw universe, Saw 2, Saw 3, and Saw 4. I want to talk about the films themselves a little bit, plus my thoughts on the 4K releases. So typically this would be a shelf space episode, but there's no question on these ones. I've seen these multiple times. I know they're staying in the collection. So instead, we're just going to talk about these steelbooks. So let's do it, guys. Without wasting any more time at all, let's dive right into my thoughts on the Saw 4K steelbooks. Before we get into my thoughts on the films themselves, I will mention there will be 4K digital codes available at some point randomly throughout this video. All three of these movies came with the digital code, so I'm going to give them away in this video. If you do happen to get one, let us know down in the comments. That way other people aren't wasting their time. But anyway, first off, what I want to do is just go over the 4K steelbooks themselves. So we'll start with the first one here, and these are all from Lionsgate. And so you're going to get that awesome slip cover on them, the plastic slip cover, which looks awesome, and it's going to form another image as you take it off. Obviously, John is on the ventilator throughout most of the movie, so that's why we get that, and then that looks great. And then the hypodermic needles on the back and the front and the back. So this looks awesome. Obviously, I feel like one of the more infamous traps from this franchise is the needle trap that is within Saw 2. So of course, they go pretty hard on the needle trap. And there is the inside of that steelbook. Again, just going with that needle theme. It looks fantastic. So I love this steelbook, which I'll probably say that for all of these, but I think the steelbooks just look awesome. So that is Saw 2. And again, with the, oh, that's backwards. We'll get this back on here and move to Saw 3. Love that. That's like, for me, this is one of the creepier costumes in the entire franchise. I love that. So the fact that we have that is just really cool. And we will take this off. And there she is right on the inside. We get Amanda and the front and the back. That's great. I love that. We have Billy in the background there. This one actually has the discs like this, where the first one had them one on each side. So that's interesting. I didn't even notice that until just now. But the discs have the Face Your Fear and Time to Let Go. And then on the inside there, hopefully you're able to make that out on the inside. Kind of not my favorite of the insides of these. I definitely like Saw 2's inside better, but I think either way, it looks good. So we'll get these discs back in, and you can see right there it says Time to Let Go. This one says Face Your Fears. And that is the Saw 3 steelbook. Excuse me as I clumsily make my way through this. And then last but not least, we do have probably my favorite of the steelbook so far. This is the Saw 4 steelbook. So again, the front and the back. This one's a little bit lighter. The first two, and actually Saw, the original Saw, that's a very dark steelbook as well. But this one's a little brighter, and I like that. But I think this is the coolest of the reveals here. So you have that there, and then of course the trap on the is pictured on this side. And then I'll show front and the back. This one is like a true wraparound, where the other two weren't quite as much. And then on the discs themselves, you have the cassette tapes. There's the Play Me, and then the cover on the inside. So I just think they did a really nice job designing these three steelbooks. Now, if I was smart, I would have grabbed the original as well, just to show that. But you know what? Let me grab that just so you can see that and how it compares to these other three. Okay, so here is the original, and it has a very similar style to it. You can definitely tell that it's from the same company, which obviously it is, but have that slip cover on it as well, that plastic slip, and then the inside, or the front there. And then there is the front and the back. This is another really good one. I love this slip cover. Of course, the infamous ending of the original there. And then what is on the inside here? Not a whole lot. Oh, okay. That makes sense given the movie itself, the actual saw along with the foot. So that's good. I think that fits the theme really well. And you can tell that these are all part of the same franchise, which I think is good. So there's the original, but not only that one, I also have Saw 10 or Saw X. I don't even know what people call this one, but Saw X, I'm going to call it right now, on the 4K Steelbook. So this one's a great one as well, because as you take that off, That just looks awesome. I love it. You know what? As much as I love this franchise, still haven't seen this one. I absolutely need to correct that. But anyway, there is the front and the back there. Then you have an eyeball for the discs on the inside, which I'm sure plays a part. And it's really cool because like this leads into the eyeball. So I love that. And then there's the inside there. So I love that they are all themed in a similar way so that, you know, the fact that you collect all of them is kind of worthwhile just because they are a very similar style. So love that one. That is Saw X, which I won't be talking about at all, but I wanted to show the steelbook just so you guys could see all of the 4K steelbooks that have been released thus far. So hopefully we get 5, 6, 7. You know what? I think I have Spiral in a steelbook as well from the Book of Saw or whatever. But anyway, we'll stick with that. So let's talk, now that we've looked at the steelbooks themselves, let's talk through the movies. So let me mention before I do start talking about the films that there's going to be spoilers here. This video is really intended for someone who has already seen the franchise and is just curious about the 4Ks themselves, as opposed to someone who's just wondering, is this really a franchise for me? I feel like at this point, you know if you're into the Saw movies or you're not. So I'll leave it there, but keep in mind there'll probably be spoilers in this video. So the timeline of this trilogy, I think, is really interesting because, of course, between the 3 movies, we kind of interweave through the events of the original all the way through the events of Saw 4. And that makes it so much fun to watch. Frankly, I'd forgotten how the timeline went down, even though it's only been probably, I don't even know, 7, 8 years since I've watched through this last time. But it just makes it for a fun viewing experience. And I think in terms of the films themselves, Saw 2, the first time I saw it was very similar to the first time I saw the original, where the twist in that one just blew me away. And of course, now having watched this probably 4 or 5 times at this point, it doesn't quite have the same impact. But I think someone who hasn't seen it, definitely it will have an impact on them. The traps in this one, I think, are really well done. The furnace trap always gets me. And then, of course, the needle trap is kind of an all-timer with this franchise. So I really enjoy that. I love the introduction of Donnie Wahlberg and his character, who will be in a couple of the sequels. I think it just does a really nice job of taking what the original did and just amping it up a little bit, right? Because as you guys probably know, Saw, the original, came out right at the start of that torture era. Saw 2 amped it up and really kind of made that torture era kind of a thing, right? Not that these are the reasons the torture era exists, but they are a part of the birth of that era. And you can really see the difference in the gore between the first and the second movie. First movie, it's not quite as gory as you might remember, quite frankly, but it really does amp it up in the second one, and then they just kind of get crazier from there. So I end up giving Saw 2 3.5 out of 5 stars. I know I noticed on IMDb when I first saw it, back when it was brand new, I gave it like 9 out of 10 stars on IMDb, because I always gave everything like 9, 10 stars, even if it was something crazy like Saw 2. It's just the way I was back then. So anyway, I think it holds up really well, and I think it does a nice job of maintaining the tone that's set with the original. So I like that about it. And then moving from Saw 2 over to Saw 3, this time through it, I didn't quite enjoy this one as much as I have in the past. Now, you can say this about all 3 of the films, that none of these people really deserve to be in these traps, and that is very true. However, this one, to me, was a little bit more overt. Our main character in this one, he's essentially grieving the loss of his child, and he's using alcohol to numb the pain. And so I guess that's justification for Jigsaw to throw him into this. It makes no sense. And then kind of with the main female character in here as well, just trying to use whatever they can to numb the pain that they're going through. And the fact that that's enough justification to throw him in this, it just didn't work for me quite as well. And again, you could say that for every, one of these movies, I know, but it was really just more overt this time through how much that didn't work. And then at the end, or towards the end, when they bring an innocent child into it, it just felt counter really to what Jigsaw was doing in the first 2 movies. And so that part bothered me quite a bit. But, outside of that, I think it does a pretty decent job as a Saw movie. I will say, I think it loses a little bit of its edge just because of the fact that these people, the justification for having these people in this game was basically terrible in my eyes. So that part does affect it a little bit. So I think I ended up giving Saw 3 out of 5 stars this time through, which on IMDb, I think I gave it like 9 out of 10 stars the first time I watched it as well, but it is what it is. And then Saw 4, 4 is a really interesting one because for my money, might even be my favorite of these 3. I don't know that that's true. I enjoyed it quite a lot, especially after watching Saw 3. Just because of the fact that we get a lot of its meanness back. I think out of these 3 movies, this one is just the nastiest of them in terms of what it does to the characters and just the way the story goes. I think it is, just like I said, the meanest of the bunch here. The only thing I don't really enjoy about this one is that it does slow down quite a bit because we're getting a lot of backstory between Jigsaw and his ex-wife. That does slow it down a bit, but I think that's important because it plays into the whole mythos of the entire franchise. So while I understand why it's there, it admittedly does slow the pacing down a little bit, but still, I enjoyed this one more than the last one, than Saw 3. So this is another one I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. But out of all 3 of these movies, something I gotta just talk about with Bousman is he has very distinct directorial choices that he makes. Number 1 is the film grading, and I'll talk that'll transition into me talking about the actual 4K transfers themselves, because with a 4K transfer, you're really going to pick up everything here, and these films are color graded so much that might bother some people. It doesn't look fantastic, but I think it looks much better than I remember seeing it on the Blu-ray. And the film grain in all 3 of these, especially number 2, very, very intense, which again, it should be there. They were shot on film. I did double check that. And so that should be there, but some people just aren't going to like that because they did nothing to clean that up. And with the way that it's graded, I feel like that even makes it come out even more. So keep that in mind. Number 2 is a huge culprit of showing that film grain, which again, I had no problems with, but some people just don't like that. One thing Bousman really does that I really enjoy are these transitions in between scenes. He does it a lot. I think it was number 3 and 4 where he does it a lot. Not as much in number 2, maybe a couple times, but you are watching a scene and it's continuing through, and the person might like walk through a door and then all of a sudden they're from their apartment and now all of a sudden they've walked through the door and they're at the police station. It is just a very interesting way to do transitions. And from what I was reading, a lot of those were actually done more practically than with it being a digital effect. So I thought that was really cool. And it just made me appreciate the work that Bousman did on these a lot more. So I love that aspect of it. I think Bousman does a really nice job with these movies. He really understands what this franchise is about and gets back to it a lot in Saw 4. I was watching some of the special features, which these things do have new special features included, which is really cool to see. And I think it was Saw 4 on that special feature where Bousman was saying, like, after Saw 3, he was done. He had no interest in coming back to the franchise, but I think it was in order to fund Repo the Genetic Opera, which is his like passion project that he really wanted to do. He agreed to do Saw 4 because the Lionsgate or whoever, I guess it was Lionsgate, they said, if you do this, then we will fund Repo. And so he decided to do that. I think it was during Saw 3, he missed the birth of his child because he was filming the movie. And so just interesting tidbits like that. You get the interviews with Bousman on there, and I love that. So I love that you get some new special features here. So for my money, I am so happy that I ended up picking these up. Now, at this point, I have no idea what the availability is. I had all 3 of these pre-ordered. I know they did take a little bit longer to get in, but I'm just happy I watched through them again because I enjoy these movies. Now, next up, man, I really hope we continue with this franchise through the rest of it with 4K steelbooks because I will be buying them on day 1. I thought the 4Ks on these just looked fantastic. Obviously, these are very dark movies, and that 4K really brings out those dark scenes. I think it does such an awesome job. Some of the daytime scenes, like I said, you are going to get a lot of that film grain, but I think what's there looks so good. And I have the Blu-ray set behind me. There's like an 8-film collection or whatever it is. I don't think there's any special features, or not nearly as many special features at least, that are on these ones. So very happy to have these in the collection. The other thing I have to mention, which I forgot to talk about earlier, is that these are the theatrical cuts of these films, not the unrated. And I know it's like, I think Saw 3 has a multiple cuts, like three different cuts, I think. And so unfortunately, those are not included here. I do own those on DVD, which I'm not getting rid of, so it doesn't matter to me. And actually, I've been trying to find all of the theatrical cuts in high definition, and this is the first time that they're coming out, at least I believe so, in HD. So I was very happy to have these in the theatrical form. Now, some people are going to be very disappointed with that, and I totally understand that, but keep that in mind. The 4Ks only have the theatrical cuts on them. But that said, I think these are excellent additions to my collection, and I just hope they continue because I really enjoy the Saw franchise. All right, so that is going to do it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts on these Saw 4K steelbooks. I know I was kind of all over the place, a little bit of a different video than normal, but hopefully it worked for you. But I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Did you guys pick these up? And if so, what did you think of the 4K transfer? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below, and let me know if you ended up getting any of the digital codes that I placed throughout the video. Hopefully you guys were able to redeem those. But that said, that is going to do it for today. So thank you so much for making it all the way to the end here. I really do appreciate that. And before I let you all go, I'll just encourage you all to consume some media today. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you all next time.